So good evening. Tim Dillingham, I'm the Executive Director of the American Literal Society, 18 Hartshorn Drive, up in Highlands. I was before you last time. I appreciate the opportunity to offer some thoughts on this. I guess I would also urge that as you take this action, you consider it in the public's interest. From our perspective, that starts with the city assessing how this easement, how this property might fit into the provision of public access down to the beach, particularly in anticipation of the restoration process.
You're aware that we have about 7 or 8 public access points
I do. So,
of Tackanassie?
Mr. Yes, I am, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you if you let me present my points.
You did last time, but I'm asking, we have public access within about 75 to 100 feet of this spot, and this spot is not a public access point. Isn't that correct?
It is not, I don't think, recognized by you as a public access point.
That's correct.
That's correct.
And you can get on the beach within 50 to 75 yards. Or you can go south, or you can go to Lake Tackanassie, or you can go to 2 or 3 of the places that we've acquired in the last 10 or 15 years to add to the public access point. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
So your claim should be put in that context.
So your position then is that public access to the beaches are all sufficient to meet all the demand that might come to use this beach as the public pays for it to be restored.
My position is this has never been a public access point, and that my administration, with some going back to 20 years, has been adding through Elmont a number of public access points.
And I don't dispute that, and I acknowledge that, and I respect that. But I think the question is that public access is not static as the demand.
No, we've been adding it for the last 10 years.
Right, and I think if you let me finish my points, what I was going to say to you is that this action ought not to take place until you assess this access way in a little bit more detail for its role in meeting the public's need to get down to the beach, particularly after the restoration project. Now, I'm presuming you're telling me you've done that analysis, although I don't think I've
We've been doing it on and off for years.
Okay, well, I would like to see, a more formal assessment that looks at all those accesses, the ones that you claim are in proximity to this site.
I don't claim they're there.
I'm sorry?
It's not a matter of being claimed. They are there. If you go down to Adams, if you go down to Pullman, if you go down to Plaza, if you go down to Park, if you go down next to the beach, next to the Breakwater Beach Club, if you go down to Garfield Terrace, if you go over to Tackanassie, and if you keep going.
So let me then rephrase my statement.
Go ahead.
Which is, I'd like to see the analysis that shows what the capacity of those access sites are for parking, how many people might be able to utilize them when there's lots of demand, how that relates to the size of the beach, how that relates to overall demand. So that's the question about whether or not the city ought to take an action, which is fundamentally in the landowner's interest, not in the public's interest, in the absence of that kind of analysis. Your position sounds like you think, okay, well, the access is all sufficient in the city of Long Branch. We're never going to go back and assess again whether or not that access ways that we've designated in the past or what facilities we've provided is sufficient. And I think what I'm saying to you, I know what I'm saying to you, is that that's not necessarily the stopping point. And before you take this action, you want to do that, given what's coming down the road. I think the fact that the lady just before me testified the fact that folks have used this, that people do use it, is an indication that the use is being made of it. So that at least warrants a more detailed conversation, a more detailed examination of its role in a bigger public access plan for the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone?